If you're planning to be a data analyst or a data scientist in 2025, then in this video I'm going to talk you through the things that you should know and the things you should learn in order to be ready and equipped to apply for jobs as a data analyst or data scientist. So the first thing is obviously know the fundamentals. So it doesn't matter what tools are out there, AI powered or machine learning, they don't matter at this moment. You still need to master the fundamentals, okay? Because otherwise you're going to be using tools very blindly, not knowing what they're doing and what the results or the outputs of them are. Okay, so you need to learn the fundamentals. So the fundamentals are learning sort of statistics and probability. So you have to get a good grounding in statistics and probability, so you know what the calculations mean, how they can be influenced, how they can be biased, all that kind of stuff. So make sure you know the fundamentals of statistics and probability. Then the next thing is to understand how you can present or visualize data. Now this is quite key because a lot of the time you will be the interface between what the algorithms produce or what the analysis produce and what the business wants to hear. So if you're not good at visualizing or representing data in a very clear and concise way or in a very simple way for the business to understand, then what you'll find is that the business won't listen to you, or they won't understand the value and impact of your work. So make sure that you build your skills up in how to visualize and represent data that's easy for the rest of the business to understand. Then one of the fundamental things I would do is learn SQL. Now if you are new to programming, or even if you're old to even if you are familiar with programming, learning SQL is a very good way to understand how to analyze data with a programming language. It's very simple, it's very structured, and it allows you to run very powerful queries very easily and quickly. And once you've done that fundamental stuff, you'll then step up and learn something like Python, or even R. R is still used quite widely today, but you'd learn things like Python and R. And one of the reasons is obviously it allows you to use a lot of the statistical knowledge that you've learned and be able to program it in R or Python and be able to run very complex analysis. The other reason is that some of these these tools do integrate with sort of AI tools and machine learning tools, so therefore you do need to have a grounding in Python or R in order to be able to deploy some of the more advanced tools. Now as we enter the world of AI and machine learning and automation tools that allow people with very little knowledge and skill to deploy them, as a data analyst or a data scientist you also need to become very familiar with them, because you'll probably be expected to use them to deploy tools. So things like AutoML type applications from Google or Microsoft, where with very limited knowledge you can deploy machine learning algorithms into production environments or into data products. You need to become very familiar with these, because as a data scientist or data analyst you'll probably be expected to run some of these applications and be able to deploy machine learning models. You probably want to get familiar with AI analytics platforms like DataRobot or Ultrix, which have integrated AI components which allow things to be done much more efficiently and more powerfully. They also allow you to sort of automate a lot of the processes, so you're not having to manually do things. So for example, I believe Ultrix has brought Trifactor, which is a automated data cleaning tool. So if you can deploy those things, then it just means you can get things done faster. And so therefore, as a data analyst, you should really be using tools that speed up and make you more efficient. Obviously, as you become more familiar with Python and your statistics knowledge, try to develop your knowledge of machine learning and AI. Understand how they work as a concept, okay? How the algorithms work and how they produce the results that they do. Because this is quite important, because later on I'll talk about transparency. A lot of the time businesses want to know what model you run, and can you explain why it's delivered those outcomes or those findings. So once you've sort of developed your skills of machine learning and sort of AI, one of the things you'll realize is that you need to understand the data that you need in order for these applications to work. So therefore I would recommend that you learn at least something about data engineering, something about data pipeline, how to use APIs to connect to data sources, how to even create custom connections, so that you understand that in order to make these products work efficiently, that you need a good flow of data. And obviously as a data scientist, data analyst, you'll be cleaning that data, but you also need to make sure that it can flow from one system to another to be able to be used by these tools in a timely manner. As a data scientist or data analyst, you may not want to be an expert in things like ETL, but there are a lot of tools out there like Matillion, like Fivetran, that allow the process to be much easier and much more simpler. So therefore, as a data analyst, at a minimum, you'll know how these tools work. You'll probably be able to use them if they're already in your organization, and you may be able to learn them quite quickly if you understand how data engineering works. So as I mentioned before, one of the reasons I would expect people to understand how machine learning and AI algorithms work is that because of transparency. Organizations have heard stories about machine learning algorithms or AI being biased, or they're black box technologies, and they don't know what's going on underneath the covers. What they'll look towards you is to explain to them how the data is analyzed and why it produces the results that it produces. Now, you don't need to be an expert in AI or machine learning, but if you understand the concept, if you understand the process and the applications that these technologies use, you should be able to explain to the business that this is what it does. AI is a pattern recognition, or this AI is a pattern recognition engine, and what it's doing is looking for patterns and then optimizing those patterns to give you the best answer that it thinks it can produce. So as long as you understand some of those concepts, you should be able to then take away the sort of opaqueness of these models and be able to explain to the business and give them confidence in why these models need to be used or why they are being used. Along with that, I would recommend also that you sort of keep up to date or become familiar with AI ethics, and so therefore you're able to also advise the business on the sort of ethical application of these AI and machine learning tools. Now, you don't need to be an expert at this, no need to be some kind of academic on AI ethics, but at least understand what is the current trends and current discussions, current debate in this area, so you understand why deploying some technologies you may be more cautious than other technologies, because in the AI ethics space these things are being debated. This then leads me on to keeping up to date with industry trends. Because this space is moving really fast, you may turn up in an interview and they may ask you, what's your opinion about this, or what's your opinion about this? For example, they might say, how do you think we could deploy an LLM model without making our data public? So you may not know how to deploy, and the organization may not deploy, but they want to know that you know about these things. So try and stay up to date with the current trends and technologies in the AI and machine learning space. Now, one of the ways to stay up to date is, apart from reading, is to collaborate with AI experts. Maybe reach out to AI experts in your local university, or people on LinkedIn or in other spaces where you can have conversations with them. Even if it's not direct, it may be discussion forum. But what that will help you do is ask questions, get a deeper understanding, and again, like I said, stay up to date on the current trends in this area. Now, finally, a skill set that I don't think the machines will, or the AI applications or the machine learning applications will ever take over from data analysts and data scientists, is their soft skills. So there are two sort of soft skills that I think if you don't have the data analyst or a data scientist, then the machines will take over. One is critical thinking, understanding why you do what you do, okay, and the other is problem solving, how to answer something that hasn't been answered before, okay. Now, sometimes the AI application, you may ask it a question, but it will repeat what it knows, because the AI algorithm will generate code for things that has happened in the past, whereas you may be encountering a problem that's not been answered before, and therefore you need to come up with a novel answer. Now, the AI may augment your thinking, your problem solving, your critical thinking, but it can't actually solve the problem. So as the data analyst or the data scientist, being good at these two things will be very important going forward. And then finally, going back to an earlier point I made about being very good at visualizing and presenting the data, is storytelling with data. Okay, again, that's going to be something that's going to be quite key, because a lot of the time the business isn't going to be looking at a screen, looking at a dashboard to get answers, to make decisions. They'll be expecting the data analyst or the data scientist to tell them what this means. And so therefore, once you've done all the complex stuff, they'll expect you to simplify it, not necessarily simplify it in a simple way, but simplify it in a narrative that the business can understand why it's important for them. So as you can see, to be a data scientist in 2025 requires blending what's been traditionally data scientists and data analytics skills with the more availability, or the more readily available tools out there, AI tools and machine learning tools, low code tools that will make you more efficient. So what you will find going into 2025 is that if you know these tools, you can do things faster and better, and therefore you'll be more in demand. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you've got a good idea of what you need to be learning in order to become a data analyst or a data scientist in 2025. Like I said, it's a combination of the traditional skills that I've talked about, as well as using the latest AI and machine learning technologies and low code, no code technologies, which will make you more efficient.